We're at 743 KNEB and 48 degrees. Time for today's news extra program brought to you by First State Bank. Here's Kevin Mooney.
Thank you, Dennis, and good morning, everyone. And our guests today are Stacy Ferguson with ESU 13. She is the Early Development Services Coordinator there, and Julie Cochran is here from Gering Public Schools. She's the Early Childhood Coordinator. She has a little bit of a cold, so her voice isn't too good today. But we're still going to ask her a few questions. But we're discussing today Week of the Young Child. This is the 41st year of the Week of the Young Child, sponsored by the National Association for the Education of Young Children. And Stacy, Week of the Young Child means that we concentrate, we kind of emphasize what people can do with their children right from the very start, right after birth, right?
Yes, and things like reading books to them, talking to them all the time, doing different activities, taking them to the park, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Now, the first few years, right after kids are born, are the most. Everybody says they're the most important. From what years to what years?
From birth to 5 are very crucial learning years. They lay the foundation for the children's success in school. So we want to always get them early.
Yeah. So when you bring your newborn infant home, the parents usually are encouraged to check a few things. Number one is hearing. Hearing they actually check at the hospital. Am I correct?
Yes, they do check their hearing in the hospital. Then if the parents have any questions at any time about hearing, through the school districts and through ESU 13, the teacher of deaf and hard of hearing can come out and do hearing screenings for free. And it takes like 2 minutes. It plays a song in their ears. It's very easy. They don't have to do anything.
All right. And then, of course, if they see problems with vision, maybe make sure that, you move your finger and the child
Tracking.
follows it, correct? Things like that. Now, and they probably should have, there's a certain age when they should be starting to make some sounds, right?
Yes, we like to hear sounds at about 6 months. We like to start hearing them make sounds, and then by the time they're 2, they should have about at least 50 words.
At least 50 words.
And once they have 50 words, they should be putting 1 to 2 words together.
Okay, by the time they're 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then they move along from the time they're 2, and then they go to 3 years old. And by 3 years old, you can probably actually carry on a little bit of a conversation with them, right?
Yes, should be able to do a back and forth conversation.
Yeah. Now, one of the good things you should do, you mentioned reading books, doing activities, carrying on conversations. That's one of the things. You'd be amazed when kids are 2 and 3 years old if you just talk to them while you're in the car, or almost any time, especially at meals and so forth. It's probably a really good thing. Get them involved in conversations as much as possible. Maybe they can start putting together those sentences, right?
That makes a big difference. That really helps.
Yeah. Okay. Julie is with Gering Public Schools. Now, Stacy obviously works with some of these children at ESU number 13. You do at the schools. Do you work with the kids at an early age as well at Gering Public Schools?
My role at Gering Public Schools is to receive the referrals from the Early Childhood Development Network. And then I provide the scores to our service team, our early childhood service team. And the ladies that provide those services are our school psychologist, our physical therapist, our occupational therapist, and our speech and language pathologist. They look at those scores and determine if the child needs to be further tested to see if they would qualify for any services.
Okay. So so you go through a number of those tests, physical tests, occupational tests.
Mm-hmm.
Those involve exactly what?
Looking at the child's developmental needs and seeing if they're meeting those developmental milestones.
Okay. So if they're meeting certain things at 1
At
year,
certain ages.
18 months,
Right.
2 years,
Right.
on down the line.
Right. Our screener screens about every 3 months and looking at those milestones at about every 3 months of age.
Mm-hmm. Now, you folks are told, am I right, by the hospital after they do their initial screening, they do a screening for hearing if there's any kind of an issue. or if are you told if there's a child at the hospital that's maybe been on oxygen for a while, been kept there for a longer period of time? Are you told about that from the hospital?
Yeah, the hospital or the pediatrics office may contact the Early Development Network, Stacy, and give her the referral, and then she gets them out to the appropriate school districts.
Okay, and then you guys kind of work together. There's a lot of coordination between the two of you, right?
Yeah.
So you two kind of talk quite a bit.
Yeah, we do.
All right. Okay. We'll be back with more right after this.
Charles Rigidity checking out at the office supply store.
So we're going to talk about where they call and that stuff.
Yeah, where they call, all that kind of thing. We might talk a little bit about the immunization thing again, just to,
And we do nothing about it.
yeah, okay.
Except that they need them.
They need
them. We
they
know
need
where
'em.
we can refer them to.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, refer them to Paulette and all those people.
That was fast. First State Bank member.
And they do have to have them to go to preschool. They have to have their vision check.
All right, we are back talking about Week of the Young Child, emphasizing that the early years are the learning years, and a lot of people think, well, their child starts learning when they get to preschool or kindergarten. Not really. First few years, the first 3 or 4 years while they're at home, parents can do an awful lot to shape how their kids are going to do in school and later in life by doing activities with them, reading, carrying on conversations, doing all these type of things, making sure your children are meeting the marks when they're 6 months, a year, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, making sure they're doing some of the things they're supposed to be doing at those particular times. Now, we have Stacy Ferguson here with ESU 13. She's the Early Development Services Coordinator. Julie Cochran with Gering Public Schools. She's the Early Childhood Coordinator. And Stacy, if people see some problems and they want to kind of find out if there's some issues here, they should give you or Julie a call. Tell us the numbers and how they get a hold of you.
They can call the Early Development Network at ESU 13. A parent can call if they have any concerns or questions about development. And you can call there, and then we'll come out and do a whole intake and look at the different areas of development. You can call 308-635-3427.
Okay, do they do these tests at home, or do you take...
We come right out. We can come right to the house and do everything.
Yeah. And how long does it usually take to do some of that stuff?
For the initial intake, it takes I'd say about 45 minutes. If the district decides they need it to be evaluated in different areas, I'd say it takes the therapist about 30 minutes usually to evaluate them for each area.
Yeah. Okay, and then if you guys say that the child is a little behind, what's the reaction of the parents normally? Hopefully they aren't like going, oh no, or whatever. They look at it and say, okay, we need to do some work here, right?
Mm-hmm. We worked as a team, and the parents are a valuable member of the team. And then if it is decided that they're going to need services, we can put them on an IFSP, an individual family service plan, and then the different, whichever therapist is needed, can start serving them, and they serve them in the home and work with the family and give them ideas of activities, and then hopefully sometimes they don't need therapy for very long, or sometimes they do. It just depends.
Okay. And how often does the therapist come to the house and do things?
It depends on each child, each situation, how much they're going to need. They may come once a month, they may come twice a month, or they may come weekly, or sometimes they only come, every 3 months or every 6 months, just depending what that child needs.
All right. And Julie, do you work with kids even after they get to school a little bit? Probably in the initial grades, I suppose.
Yeah. My other role is I'm also the coordinator of the Gering preschool.
Oh,
and so,
okay.
I'm familiar with our young children, our birth to 3 children, and encourage them, also to get into preschool and continue to work with the families. And then the families also have a connection with the Gering school system, and that helps as well.
All right. So you're probably pretty excited about the fact that Lincoln Elementary is going to have that
Yes,
nice preschool area right
Yes,
at the
I
front of the building there. And it's going to be kind of separated, isn't it, from everything else? Isn't the preschool area kind of going to be just a little bit separated from everybody?
No, well, we'll have our own separate playground, but other than that, our classrooms are directly across
right there,
the hall
huh?
from kindergarten.
Right there from kindergarten. Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty exciting to have all the preschool all in one area, I'm sure.
It is very exciting.
And they're moving along pretty fast on that Lincoln Elementary School.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Very good. So once again, the number at ESU 13 is 635-3427. If they need to contact you, Julie, why don't we give you your number here?
Okay, Gering Preschool is 632-8670.
8670. All right. Talk to either one of these young ladies, and they can take care of your situation. And don't forget, Week of the Young Child continuing all the way through this week. As a matter of fact, one of the things I was going to mention, there are WNCC students who are actually celebrating this by reading stories and books to young children at the Monument Mall this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. over there in the center area of the Monument Mall. All right, back to you, Dan.